Yeah, sounds clear too.
Nice.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
Good. All right. You wanna, or should I share this, or we just can look at the document separately?
Yeah, we can look at it together. I see that you're in.
Yeah, I'm in here. All
Okay.
right.
All right. So the first point will be adherence to script, and Naomi will provide the items. Now, I did have a few pointers here that I think it would be nice to be a little more detailed in terms of the qualifying questions, because I think I've noticed that Ellie, you, and Naomi have, and even Lois, you all have different discovery questions at the beginning.
Right.
So I wonder which of the questions are the most
I,
relevant within the context of an appointment setter.
let me just share with you this document because they have a script document which
Okay.
addresses all the scripts.
Okay.
I don't know if I could share this with you, but
Okay.
because I'm not the one who created it, so let me see.
Got
Editor. Okay, let me see. I'll Slack it to you. See if you could access that.
Okay. Yes, I'm in.
Oh, perfect. Okay. So this is the basic intro script. They're still working on it, so it's not completed yet. You know,
Okay.
but you know, the intro script, and then if it's criminal, you go to criminal, qualifying questions, family law qualifying questions, copyright name change, estate planning. You know, personal injury, and then the end of the script is at the bottom after all that.
Got it. I wanted to ask you a question about this because I've noticed when I hear intake people taking calls, like they will ask, "How can I help you?" And then the customer will just go into a
Yeah.
rant of, and then you don't want to interrupt them because sometimes they start going into emotional things.
Hmm.
So, but then what ends up happening, the intake person, they all they want to hear is this criminal, is this trafficking,
Yeah.
is
Right.
this, that's all they want to know, right?
Yeah.
They don't want to hear the whole story, and then the customer has to repeat it all over again to the next
Right.
person, and they
Right.
start getting annoyed. So I was wondering if either there's a better question to start the call, like for example, being very concise. Are you calling about a criminal, a traffic ticket, or a family law issue, for example? No, or um, even have it in the menu, like in the call center business we call it IVR, where the machine will pretty much tell you if you're
Yeah.
calling about a family, blah blah blah, you press
Right.
plus one, etc. So what are your thoughts about this?
I mean, we've discussed both because we do have an IVR, but the current IVR is: are you a new client? Are you a current client? Are you a other matter like a court or anything else calling? That's the current IVR. It's three options. You know.
Oh,
So we have the IVR in place right now, and we discussed like should it be this or like the problem with IVRs. Ellie's argument is that people want to speak to a live human being, right? Versus like they don't. Will they sit through six options and like whatever it is, right? So it's a debate going back and forth. So we could do the IVR option or the thing again. A good question to address before we launch everything, but I think right now Adam's considered that, and I think right now they're saying getting a live person on the phone to like speak to is really the model we're trying to like pursue rather than because Ellie's against IVRs only because when we've done long IVRs, they've dropped like callers drop and then they're like gone. They don't want to sit through an IVR. Again, he knows the metrics on that.
okay, okay, okay. I guess if he knows the numbers, that's fine.
Hmm.
Certainly we would get misdirected calls,
Hmm.
but it will be there will be a reduction and also in the efficiency. But if he really doesn't want to do that, and I think we could address it in a different way and just have
Hmm.
the intake person just have very specific opening questions, because if you have an open-ended question like that, well, you're gonna get a good rant.
All right,
And
so I'm just gonna put that comment here.
okay,
Open-ended questions. Oh, whoops. Open-ended questions may lead to clients usually going into a rant
Right.
into or their whole story
Right.
before consider.
So, for
Okay.
example, so some example of how I would do it would be like, "Thank you for calling Rosenblum Law. My name is Francisco. I'm the operator here. In order to connect you with the right person, I just need to ask you: Are you calling about a family issue, a traffic ticket issue, or a criminal case?"
Right. But it could be expungements, name changes, copyrights. You know, it could be. There's a bunch of things that are in there. Personal injury, right? Like so, estate
Yep.
planning. So
It could be
that's a longer list.
right,
You know.
or I could even say something like, "Thank you for calling Rosenblum Law. My name is Francisco. I just need to ask you a quick question to route your call so you don't have to repeat yourself over again. I just need a concise answer or something like that."
Yeah. Yeah.
We could just use maybe chat GPT to try to figure out
Okay.
what's the best way
Good.
to initiate the conversation.
Yep.
And don't get me wrong, like, if if we consider valuable that the intake person listens to the whole story first, that's cool. However, then what the intake person needs to do is actually relay the important details. But I just find that they don't really do that.
Right. The script is meant to. Great, you're calling like they should get that. Great, you're calling about a criminal defense matter. I'm going to ask you some direct questions so I could route you to the right, individual, right? You know.
Exactly. So
So.
that way the customer knows there's no point in telling this guy the whole story
Yep.
because he's just going to transfer me.
Yeah, and if they need to stop them, listen, I appreciate the information, but this is something you're gonna have to speak with the consultant about. So just gonna take some notes. Like,
Exactly.
all right, that's good. All right, adherence to the script. Anything else on that point?
Um, I do think the rants are very valuable
Yeah.
because I think sometimes the customer, what they need to know is that they're in good hands and just kind of get that emotional relief.
Yep.
And I'm not sure if the consultants like to go through the rants, but I think there are three steps that we usually do this is pretty standard, by the way, in across many different industries. There is a
Mhm.
very specific way of doing a call flow
Mhm.
that I really don't think where anybody here is doing.
Right.
And these are very specific points that have a purpose. It's not just something random. So, for example, the first point would be after you do the discovery and the customer goes on the rant, you kind of are just taking notes, and especially in the things that they're emphasizing emotionally, like, they're really upset about the cop being unfair. You write that down because the thing is that after they tell you the whole story, it's very important to do a recap.
Mhm.
Now there's a very specific purpose for the recap. When you tell the customer their story back to them, and
They know you're listening. Yep.
yeah, but not the whole thing. You just tell them the key phrases that they use, using their same phrasing verbatim. That's key. And I've done it so many times because I've been on the phones as well, and I know it works like magic. Why?
Mhm.
Because when the customer hears what they really care about said back to them, it immediately creates rapport because they're like, "Oh, this guy gets me." So it's like when you go to the doctor and he's not even listening, but he's already writing the prescription. You're like, "Oh man, what am I gonna be taking?" But when the doctor is actually patiently listening to the whole spiel, you're like, "Oh, I feel more confident because at least I know that they know where I'm coming from."
Mhm.
So I think uh, doing recap is very important, for rapport building and for closing the sale.
Mhm.
However, it needs to be done in a very specific way because sometimes in call centers, I've noticed that they will just put it there as a requirement, and then people will do the recap, but they will do it wrong. So what they will do is just pretty much um, like they will say it back, but not with the right emphasis, no, not with the right tonality, because it's important that you use the right tonality so they know
Hmm.
you not only understand the content but also the emotional context.
Right.
So there's a way of doing the recap, which I'm happy to train people on doing this, and I think this should be part of the evaluation form, like doing a recap, and also it ensures that we're actually understanding where they're coming from, right? Now, there's a danger to the recap that when you do recaps wrong, it breaks rapport.
Hmm.
When you do it wrong, people are like, no, that's
Yeah.
not what I said, and it goes sideways.
Right. Right.
So it is very important to do it correctly. And if you get it wrong, like apologies, oh, I apologize for that. Okay, let me make sure I get it right. Until you, and then when you say it back and the customer says yes,
Hmm.
that will immediately expedite the rapport building process and everything else. It will lower their defenses. So now, after you do the recap and they say yes, that's what I'm calling about. In the regular call flow, what comes next is what we call assurance of help. Now, this might seem pretty obvious to some of us, but believe it or not, I've heard so many calls where they get somebody, hey, I need help with this. Uh-huh. For example, Noah. Oh my God. Um, oh, I'm calling, I need help with this. Okay. It's like that's not assurance of help. That's just like even rude. I would even argue it's rude. So what I mean by assurance of help is letting people know they're speaking to the right person, that they're not going to be
Hmm.
transferred, or or that, for example, this would be an example of how to do an assurance of help. All right, so you're calling about a traffic ticket you received in the Bronx. Is this correct? Yes, absolutely. No worries. We've been in the business for 20 years doing traffic tickets, so you're in good hands.
Hmm.
You're speaking to the right person.
Okay.
And they're, oh, okay, cool.
All right.
So
I
I
put
would,
that. I put that in the bottom of the script right before the. Well, like there's a part of the script that says, "Well, I know this may be a difficult time for you. The good news, that's the assurance of help. The good news that is our attorneys are going to find the solutions to your problem based on everything you said. We need to get you scheduled, but before that, consider doing a recap." So I put a comment there.
hmm.
Okay. Edok.
All right. So right now we're in the warm. Oh, by the way, you put there warm greeting and advising what your role is. And I think we should really place very particular emphasis in describing to people what warm greeting actually means and how it's executed.
Yep.
Because sometimes they will be like, "Oh, I'm doing a warm greeting." No, I- tonality, the tonality in the first 4 seconds of the call will establish a frame, will
Right.
give you credibility, will let the customer know that you're that you want to be at work.
Yeah.
Because sometimes people, Russell Blanc,
Hmm.
that
That's all I
initial,
hear. That's all I hear when I hear these calls. Which is aggravating, but it's also why we're creating this bonus structure. Like into it, so that they actually are incentivized to give the right call, right intake.
exactly. For
Hmm.
example, I really like how Naomi does it, and Rosenblum law. How can like immediately from the get go, you're like, oh, she's in a good mood. That's
Hmm.
good. And immediately, just people, the way they will approach you will just save you tons of rapport
For
building
sure.
throughout the entire call, just in just in using the right tonality in the first 4 seconds,
Hmm.
right? And Zach was telling me that people are rude sometimes. The thing is that when you're speaking with a very positive tonality, you always run the risk of having another person on the line who's upset, who's not gonna vibe with you, and just gonna you're not gonna be in the same synchrony, and they're gonna be rude, and then you as a salesperson, you're gonna feel rejected, and you're gonna feel like, oh, I'm giving my best here, and this other person is just being rude. So that's why the tonality needs to be not so enthusiastic.
Hmm.
It's just a little bit above the
What
middle,
they're bring, yeah, yeah, exactly.
right? And then you hear their voice and you immediately calibrate and adjust accordingly.
Hmm.
So what you want to do is, if they're in a good mood, good. You keep it at that, maybe elevate it a little bit, but that's it. Um, but if they're in a bad mood, what you want to do is actually lower yourself to match, to kind of mirror their tonality, so they feel not that you're being rude, but that you're taking them seriously.
Right.
That you know they're upset for a reason, and what that will do, they will be like, oh, okay, he's meeting me there. And then you can slowly and gradually start to bring back up to a more positive tonality. I don't even like to go all the way to very very friendly, because I also feel that very very friendly is also an unsafe place to be as a salesperson, because if you're all friends and games, then they
Sure.
will they
No,
will
I've heard that because I've said things and they're dealing with a problem and they're like, well, all things considered, I guess I'm good. Like, I've done that, so I definitely understand.
Yeah, so there is like like a safe zone where you want to be, like the type
Yeah.
of energy, but all of that is calibrated at the beginning of the call, in the warm greeting. And I think this really needs to be drilled, so people find their own style that is congruent, that is not that it doesn't sound fake. Because also, if you try to do something that is not congruent to your personality, it's just gonna sound inauthentic,
Yeah.
and instead of working to your favor, is gonna actually be a disadvantage, because people are gonna be like, "Oh, what
Right.
is he doing?" Right?
Yeah. And just as a heads up, I just told the sales team about this in today's huddle that we had. Kind of gave them like a feeler of where our mindset is, what we're thinking, what the projected rollout time for this is. November 1st. We're trying to, after these holidays, tomorrow and Friday are a holiday. Tomorrow, next Thursday and Friday are a holiday. So we want to roll it out probably by November 1st. Because the month is going to end, and then we could implement the bonus structure. That's the target I'm looking at. Again, if they make any changes or shifts, I'll keep you guys all looped in. But that's where we stand. But by that time, there's intense training. Everybody's starting at zero again. And I told them that today, because everybody's like, well, some people have been here longer, blah blah blah. I'm like, guys, you got to throw out the playbook, right? Like we're going fresh. We're gonna have intensive training. We're gonna have follow ups. We're gonna have feedback sessions. We're gonna have this. So you should be involved in those things, because this is all good information and advice. I'm sure Naomi is going to be responsible for training, but I think what you're sharing, just based on experience, because she's not like, she doesn't have this level of experience that you have, right? So I
Hmm.
think you could bring this to the table in those training calls so that people understands what is expected of them.
Okay, great. Yeah, absolutely. I just wanted to say one last thing about the discovery questions that I've noticed also listening to calls, even from Lois. With all due respect to Lois, but I think sometimes people will be in the mood to do rapport building, and they will be like, oh no, let's just jump into the discovery and interrupt. And I understand that sometimes you want to just do it based on you want to grab the call control, or you just want to make it more efficient and to be able to do more quotes, whatever. But if that comes at the expense of building rapport, then
We're
it's
losing the sale with it.
exactly to the detriment of your own
I agree.
performance.
I know, because we share a wall. I hear every consult she does. So I ask for more about what happened and blah, blah, blah. Like, make sure I'm building the rapport, like bringing back points that they brought into the call. She wins people over with her authority, like she's very boom, 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 like
Yes.
as far as how she goes about things. So, yeah, no, I agree with that. So,
Yes, and I mean, if you don't want them to go on a rant, don't ask them, how can I help you?
right.
Because otherwise then you're just going to be interrupting them, and it's going to break the
That's not
flow.
good. Yep.
So you might want to start the call like, um, hi, my name is Lois with Rosenblum Law. um, I understand you got a traffic ticket, so I will be asking you very specific questions, just so I know how I can help you. Is that okay?
Right. Right.
Boom. And then you start,
Yep.
and that way they don't go on the rant,
Yeah.
and you're getting pissed.
Based off of this, I mean, the intake people or appointment setters should be getting a lot of that information, so that by the time we are speaking to them, we have like a 3 minute prep time. We look through the thing and then like, okay, you said that, like that should be the protocol for consultants moving forward, is that review the all notes that were in there and then pick up the conversation where we were left so that they know there was a connection that happened between the first person you spoke with and the second person you spoke with. So yeah.
I would even advise, and based on my previous experience, that these are warm transfers. It makes sense to do call transfers in certain contexts, but not in the context of sales, especially if we're relaying crucial information that will benefit the sale. So what I think is that in this type of warm transfers, number one, the consultant needs to be polite because sometimes they're not open to the other person. Just transfer the call. Just transfer the call, and they don't even know the context. So they actually need to listen to the intake person because they're like the quarterback. So he may be the person who will might as well get you the sale because maybe he built a rapport before, or he might give you some key insights. So I think we should also hold consultants accountable in how they're going to be receiving the intake, right? So uh, as asking specific questions, okay, give me some context, and then the intake person could be like, hey, listen, these are some important things that you need to know about, blah blah blah. Once they are on the same page, and once the consultant is ready and the intake person is ready, then I think there should be like a very elaborate introduction in which you tell the customer, Mr. Customer, thank you so much for holding. I do have a consultant here. I have explained to them in detail what you shared with me about your traffic ticket in New York and how it affected your family in this particular situation. So they're entirely aware of the all the full context, so you don't have to repeat yourself. All right.
Right.
Her name is Lois. She's been here in the firm for about 12 years, so you're in good hands from now on. Okay. Perfect. Boom. And then
Mm.
you do the warm transfer like that. Because what I've noticed, sometimes they will just transfer the call and then the person is like, what?
Yeah.
Another and then like
And then they go through it again and then it's not clean, you know. Like
uh,
passing a baton and you know you're dropping the baton right in between.
exactly.
Right.
Exactly. So yep.
All right.
All right. So
Any other feedback on the so the next part is lead qualifications. I mean, this was more just for protocols for the appointment setters before we start having it in place. But you know, appointment setters must ensure that leads are qualified based on whatever, you know, this is script, right? I'm just saying the protocols. Leads that are marked as dead or killed do not end up quoted due to improper qualification, like making sure they understand the difference. There's no bonus set up. Like if you set me up for a call that I should not be talking to, then they should not get any obviously reward or, you know, bonus or anything else. That's what that means about qualifying leads. This is also tied into time management, which is the appointment setter's role is to be a good gatekeeper. Let the leads that have to move forward move forward. Let the leads that are not supposed to be connected to a consultant, like that's critical. So I'm just addressing that with time management, and just like creating a system where that, like, if they continue to send leads that are obviously not supposed to be, because the current system is the intake people are like 50% understanding, and like Dylan has transferred me so many leads that are not qualified, you know, like, and he's done it so many times because he's not primarily tuned in to the role of an intake person. He's trying to, you know, just, okay, I got somebody here. Can you take it? Hey, I got somebody here. Can you take it? No, it's very important that before you pass it on to me, make sure, because Lois says it all the time. This lead is not, this is a DNH, or this is like, we're hoping that the appointment setters are trained up and Naomi's trained up enough to know that this is supposed to move forward and this is not supposed to move forward. So time management was the other big issue that we wanted to address. That's why I listed here.
okay, so in regards to that, what I think is that we should um like the compensation plan is going to drive the behavior. So if people are incentivized in the volume, they will find a way to even transfer unqualified leads. You see, like if we're measuring them on the number of leads transferred, they're gonna prioritize that because obviously their compensation is tied to it. So I think we can address the behavior uh, from the compensation structure, so that they know like, oh, there's no point in transferring this. But on the flip side, you don't want to punish them so bad that they're like afraid of transferring a call that could potentially be transformed into a sale. So I think this is a very delicate subject that if we're gonna have them prospect the people, I think we need to really train them very specifically in how to prospect correctly. What questions to ask to know this is going to be so they're not afraid. Oh, if I transfer these, now I'm in trouble, and then we're going to be missing opportunities. So it's going to backfire what we're trying to initially accomplish. So yeah, I also one thing that I think is very very important in this part of the call is that I've noticed that people in the intake chat, they're like, hey, um, what's the name of that channel? Intake questions, something like that.
Yeah.
But people are like, hey, do we handle this? Do we handle that? And in my mind, I'm like, we could solve this with artificial intelligence. Like literally, all we need to do is hire a freelancer and tell him, hey, bro, we're gonna tell you what type of cases we manage. We'll give you the documentation. You put it here on a website, and just people can ask directly, like the the chat bot. Hey, do we handle this? And that saves us a lot of time to the leadership team answering repetitive questions,
Right.
and people can just address this with AI. And I know Adam, it's adamant about incorporating AI, but I really don't think we're disclosing any information about the firm just by telling what practice areas we handle, because that's already in our website anyway. So uh, I just think it would be, if we create a tool, I really think the money investment will be very low,
Hmm.
and it will save us a lot of time of going back and forward and people waiting for an answer, you know. And I'll be happy to put all that together, by the way. I like designing it, like figuring out who I need to hire, like giving you the budget of how much it would cost, like, because
Yeah.
I know it can get complicated, but since I'm familiar with these tools, I know what they can do, and I know how easy it would be to set it up. So if you'd like, I can put that together, and give you a proposal. But I just think that it makes it very inefficient, to just rely on leadership to answer these repetitive questions.
Yeah.
Especially if we're going to be scaling, these questions are going to keep growing. Is the same repetitive questions, you know? And sometimes this is something that I noticed yesterday when I was live monitoring Leo,
Hmm.
because he literally, hey, can somebody help me with this? And then I decided to jump in because I was like, oh, it's kind of late, nobody's here.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. I agree. Yeah.
So if he didn't have to wait for that, we could address that with technology, like better for everybody.
Yeah. I just made a note of it. Okay. Okay. So, again, other protocols, appointment setters at some point will have like specific per week, per month goals and targets that will be outlined by the intake manager after we start getting some metrics on everybody's, performance. Consultants that are qualified to conduct consultation. Yeah, this is a key here. Like, so for example, Zach is a traffic ticket consultant. So if he takes a traffic ticket lead, like he's not getting the intake bonus and everything else for leads that he should be able to handle, right?
Mhm.
But if he takes a family law lead, which he's not qualified to handle those types of consults, then he is eligible for this bonus, you know, for appointment setting and pursuing the lead and making sure the connection happens and everything else. So that's why I wrote that little note there. But of course, they're still eligible for their consultation hiring bonus because they're actually performing the consult.
Got it. Got it.
Okay.
You know, I also think that that would be another benefit of the IVR, you know,
Hmm.
because it just makes reporting a pain, you know, like
Yeah.
figuring out, oh, was this a valid call, was this not a legit call,
Right.
and if everything was just filtered out through the IVR first, we would be able to have a specialized team for each practice area and just have a more accurate reporting.
Right. Right. I agree. We could have that discussion with Adam Ellie again and address the IVR debate. Um, Again, I think the whole reason I'm setting up the protocols is just so that like everybody is incentivized to work together to make the client close. That's really the objective of having appointment setters and people who are tied in. So that's why I put successful hires do get an additional bonus. So that's why I've worked the chart set up the appointment, direct transfer, nominal because it's live. But if you've gone to the process of T1, T2, nobody's available, this goes into now the appointment setter workflow, right? And it's like, okay, schedule the appointment, confirm the appointment, do all the scripting, and then if your job is to make sure that connection happens, make it happen. If a quote locks in and then the person ends up hiring, I feel like something should come back to the original person who set up the appointment, if that
Yep.
makes sense.
Yep.
For the next step, number 6, is where I'm at: performance monitoring. Obviously, we're telling the staff that all the calls are recorded and reviewed regularly for quality assurance. Appointment setters should be aware of this, and that adherence to the script and the qualification criteria that are required. Again, feedback, regular feedback. We're not trying to warn people out the gate, but obviously 4 or 5 weeks into this, right? Like, we should have a level of like, hey, listen, you should be up to a certain level of knowledge when it comes to like going through the scripts and everything else.
Yep.
The next thing was just, again, and again, I'm only talking demerits after everybody's been trained up, and we should have a good expectation that they should understand what they're doing, and then obviously incentives for excellence: people who are top performers in appointment setting, who consistently meet or exceed expectations, make the connections happen. Like you said, talk up consultant you're going to connect it to, like give positive experience, all those things that, we could go even above and beyond and say, hey, listen, you've contributed so much to our, driving force between like sales and things like that. So additional public recognition, gift cards, time off, flexible schedule, whatever it is, right? Like, we could figure out ways to compensate. Again, this is all in line with what I was sharing with you months back, where it was like, hey, listen, we need to come up with a schedule where people love working here. Like, it's like,
Mhm.
oh my God, I got this advantage and I get this benefit and I get this and I get that, like that's really the environment we're trying to build. And the guidelines for the supervisor, provide comprehensive training on the script and lead qualification criteria, where have regular performance reviews to discuss adherence to protocols and provide feedback, and then create an environment for open communication. Our appointment setters should be encouraged to communicate, not be in a situation where they're in fear of anything, right? Because at the end of the day, this is a bonus structure. It's like on top of their pay, that we're looking to compensate. Now, I may have to have some discussions with certain people, right? Like, for example, like Ernie, he's working out in the Philippines, right? He gets maybe like $4 or $5 an hour, right? He's going to be primarily an appointment setter,
Right.
So if we give him this structure, he's going to go from $5 an hour to probably averaging like $25 an hour or $20 an hour, just based on what we do. So I might have to like speak with individuals and just based on what's like we're current modeling the numbers. Like, I may have to speak to them and say, hey, listen, you want to try this out for a month or two, right? Like, we could go this route, or we could just go for your base hourly. You clearly are going to make more money because the CFO guy that we were speaking to, Moshe, he was like, he's all about performance based, you know, performance based salaries, right? Versus just the salary for the hourly, because there's no incentive for them to perform at a high level.
Mhm.
So if we could start creating that structure, then everybody should be putting more money into their pocket with respect to pay, and they should be very satisfied based on the situation. But I may have to go to like Ernie and say, hey, listen, you're at $5 an hour base. We may have to like draw that back to like 3, right? And then add, like whatever that, like, this amount is, tried out for a month, right? And if you like it, we could stick with it. If you don't like it, maybe you go back to, a different whatever. I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud, like,
Mhm.
because I want to obviously make sure the team is incentivized to pursue this model, but at the same time, if they're not, like, there might be a problem there. Some people might be, some people like guaranteed money, and some people like being measured on performance where they have a big upside, like us, right? Like, we took a bet on ourselves, right? And said, hey, listen, this firm clearly has, you know, a good model, a good website, good resources, good staff. We're focused on growth, right? Like, I tell Adam all the time, I'm like, listen, after a certain point, I don't really care about the base, but if I'm helping the firm go from 3 million to 4 million and then 4 million to 5 million, I want a bonus based
Mhm.
off of that performance, because that's going to give me the buy-in to, obviously, like, and I'm 100% driven to make sure like the work is done. Part of it is who I am, but then also part of it is like when Adam gives me targets and goals and everything else, I'm just like, all right, I'm gonna push as best as I can and get the team activated for it.
Yep.
All right, and then I don't know if you saw my like table for the proposal, but like if it makes sense or not. But it's right at the bottom, the last thing on the sheet. But this is my thought process. Again, I think Naomi was tasked for it for a little bit. But I don't think she really had a concept or idea of how
Mhm.
this would be rewarded. So I just created this bonus structure at the bottom to review.
Yep. Um,
What do you think about that? Direct transfers versus appointments. You know, that's it. That's right at the bottom.
uh-huh. Yep. I'm looking at it. So appointment set or proper transfer, you get $1. See, so that's what I was saying. Like if they get paid on the transfer, they will probably like they will probably transfer unqualified leads.
No, but there's a demerit if they transfer unqualified leads.
Oh, okay. So
You
so maybe we could call it like qualified lead transfer.
transfer. Okay, yeah, that's fine.
You know?
Appointment appointment set or qualified lead transfer. We'll put that qualified.
And we just give them certain parameters that are
Yeah,
very
I
that
wrote I wrote it at the bottom, but just so you know, the parameters are like what the current protocol is. Okay, you got the lead, you list it in live leads, you wait 3 minutes, right? Then you give it second call, right? 2 minutes. Okay, if nobody picks up, you get back on the line, right? And maybe on the second before you do T2, just be like, hey, listen, get back on the line with the client. Hey, listen, I'm, seeing if any of our consultants available. Thank you for your patience. Please hold, right? We're trying to limit hold time as much as possible, but again, if nobody picks up after that 3 minute, 4 minute wait time, right? Then unfortunately all of our consultants are with the client. I could get you set for an appointment. They have to go through those listed on live leads, right? Wait the 2 minutes or whatever it is, another 2 minutes, and then they could go for the traffic. Okay, this lead did not get connected. We're going to put it on the traffic ticket appointment setting schedule or workflow. That's why I have direct transfers that happen right away. Again, that's guaranteed money because you just set up the lead properly and you transferred it, right? But you don't have guaranteed money if you let the client off the phone because we want to connect to the client live for traffic tickets at least. That's the current model. By the way, I don't know if Adam wants warrant, meaning I don't know if he wants direct transfers for anybody that's family law, criminal law, expungements. I think he wants people to commit to appointments, show up to the appointments because there's another level of commitment. Like for example, estate planning firms. I called one estate planning firm. It takes 3 weeks for them to give me an appointment. 4 weeks, right? We don't even have that. We'll do it that same week, right? But I've called other high level law firms to do my parents' estate plan. This was 4 or 5 years back. And I went there and then they're like, yeah, it's going to take you 5 weeks before you have your call with the lawyer. And I waited because I thought that's what the standard was. And I guess that guy is so busy and he has, but the longer I waited, in my mind, I was like, wow, this guy's really booked and he's really like knows his stuff and he doesn't have an appointment free for X amount of weeks. And then by the time I had the conversation, he gave me a really good sales pitch. I I could have bit, but the problem was not the problem, but the fortunate issue was we started doing estate planning at that same time. So I spoke with our team and I got it done pretty much for like 1/10 of the cost. Right. So I ended up doing my estate plan for my parents in house, but at the same time it was um, I don't know what Adam's going to suggest after all this. It just might be every high level case might be going through the appointment protocol, so there might not be a direct transfer option.
So all of this that you said gave me a bunch of ideas because
Hmm.
um, one thing I've noticed when they're transferring is that they will take a long time to get somebody. And number one, it's very frustrating for the intake person because
Hmm.
in their mind they're like, oh, I just want to get a consult because they're compensated on consults. They're so it's conflicting interest. That's what we want to try to avoid. That's why I think it's better if we have people who are solely dedicated to one role and compensated accordingly.
Uh huh.
Because when you start messing with their financials, then we're not aligned. The roles is not aligned, and everything affects the customer experience, and at the end, it ends up affecting the business.
Yeah, I need clarity on it, which is why I attached all you guys on the proposal so that they could you know see what's aligned or not. I just gave my thoughts. I don't have all the back conversation that Adam, like I'm not in those meetings all the time, right? So
Uh,
I put you because I want your feedback. I want Naomi's feedback. I want Adam and Ellie's feedback
Yep.
before rolling this out. So this is just a rough draft of what I know
Yep.
based off of my experience, and how I feel people will be motivated to like kind of and be incentivized to do this role.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, listen, it needs to go through the, you know,
Yep. Yep. Yeah. I know we're just kind of brainstorming, but my point is that from the customer service perspective,
hmm
um, it's terrible. And
okay.
it's very consistent. What I mean by terrible is not, it has nothing to do with what you're working on right now. No, no,
Mhm.
no. What I'm saying that is terrible is the way we're placing people on hold. Like
Yeah. Adam
the
wants to avoid it. So he may just be all about appointment setting only. So,
what I mean exactly, in other places
uh-huh.
where I've worked, if somebody were to do what we do, they would get fired like that, because um, we're placing people on hold for way too long in something that is a sale.
hmm
And not only that, since we're penalizing hold, we're relying on mute, right? So that creates even a worse experience.
Right.
And unfortunately, the agents, they have to be like, well, if I place them on hold, I know I'm gonna get in trouble. So
Mm.
I guess I guess I don't have a choice but to just keep them like that in silence, right? And since they don't have any hold techniques because they haven't been training that, they're just like, I'm just waiting, okay? I'm just waiting, okay? And
Right.
it comes to a point where the customer is like,
Betty.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And how it's properly, what it should be done, how it should be done is we should define a realistic parameter for hold, which right now our numbers are skewed, so we don't have a realistic parameter. By the way,
hmm
we could be comparing people that are not doing things properly with other
Right.
people who are doing.
Nothing's uniform.
Nothing is uniform, so we don't have a realistic amount of time
hmm
for the hold. And I think we should authorize people to have if we're having 5 minute uh 5 minutes, what's
Hold
it
on.
called? Yeah, but the thing is that it takes 5 minutes for other people to actually take the call, so it makes sense that the hold is 5 minutes, you know. So the hold should be equivalent to the amount of time it takes to get somebody. And honestly, it takes
Well,
10 minutes.
let me give you a suggestion because this has never been uniformly put in place, but when it is, it works, right? Generally, a intake person can figure out whether a client is qualified or not as they go through the qualify. Hey, you have a criminal case? Okay, you have a violation. It's in the state that we handle the case. It's a new charge. They already know it's qualified, right? In their head.
Uh-huh.
I asked, this was done for a while, and the people who did it, it worked out great. They would post the lead and live leads then. And then they continue to go through the script, right? And so if somebody picks up that lead, hey, great news. I have somebody available right now to him. Nobody's on hold, right?
Love it.
Right. So that's what I suggested. Like, but it's just never been like executed to the highest level, right? Consistently, somebody has to hold them to that standard, you know. And that's the problem because once I go on a consult, I can't do it. But if this is the protocol, once you figure out it's a qualified lead, list in live leads. By the time you get through the rest of the script, right? If nobody has responded to you, then you say, well, great. Like, listen, I'm going to be setting you up for an appointment, blah blah blah, whatever it is. We're gonna, you did like that's another way to look at it. Skin the cat, as Adam likes to say. If you haven't heard him say that, so,
Yep. Yep. So,
right.
for example, something that could work is the "How can I help you?" question. So they rant.
hmm
When they're ranting, you post it. So you start taking notes on their
Yeah,
rant,
and
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 that's it.
then if they figure out it's a not qualified lead, they just say cancel, abort, right? Like abort. This is an unqualified lead. It's no harm, no foul because hey, somebody was on the ready and I was ready to receive that call. And I could kind of like listen in while the client, I could even listen in while the client that we could do that. I could listen in, listen to the intake, listen to them go through the whole thing because I'm already ready for taking that lead because it's been qualified. But the second I abort, okay, no harm, no foul. But hey, you want to have a smooth client experience? Boom, right? You go through the whole thing. I'm already listening into the call, and then by the time it transfers, boom, I've got all the information, I have all the notes. They don't have to go through anything again, and it becomes a better client experience, and we don't have to put anybody on hold. But of course, if nobody responds back, then hey, listen, I got you on the appointment schedule.
Exactly. And I think if we have to choose between silence and hold, I would 100% go for the hold.
Right.
Like, because people right now are opting for the silence to not get in trouble. So it starts become very uncomfortable for the customer
I
because
agree.
they're just like, somebody will be here, somebody will be here. So
Uh-huh.
every 10 seconds it becomes annoying, and
Hmm.
it's Leo does it, Zach does it, Dylan does it,
Oh
like
no,
all of
no,
them.
that's no good. That's no good.
And
We, like I said, I would love to, I would love to just be again. I spend 30% of my time like managing and an administrative. I'm spending 70-80% of my time doing consultations, or like 60-70. But all these problems need to be addressed. Like we get uniformity, and again, now we're moving in the right direction of fixing all these problems. But it's great feedback, and like I said, I let's put the client as have you ever heard of the Savannah Bananas?
no.
So I went to a lawyer conference, right?
Uh-huh.
There. Do you follow baseball at all? Baseball's going on right now, so I mean, do you follow baseball at all?
I
No.
do not know.
Okay. So baseball is one of the most, it's America's pastime, meaning it's one of the oldest sports where people have watched, and there's a certain pace and slowness of the game, and people who are like grew up with baseball, I did, right? Love the game, but I even feel like, oh my God, this game takes forever, right? Like it's just so slow and it doesn't move as fast and whatever it is, right? So Major League Baseball has made improvements. For example, 2 years ago, they introduced a pitch clock. Before, pitchers could take their time, walk around the mound, really think what type of pitch they're going to throw around, and there was no speed as to getting them to pitch the ball. Now they introduced a pitch clock that once a pitch is thrown, now the next pitch needs to be thrown in 24 seconds, right?
Mhm.
So once the catcher throws it back to the pitcher, you have 20 seconds. It moved the game. It sped the game up an hour. Like I used to go to a Yankee game, it used to take 3.5, 4 hours for the game to end. Now games end in 2 hours, and I'm like, wow, that was so quick, 2.5 hours. So in Major League Baseball to change was like trying to change America's constitution. Like it's that difficult to go through the process of making them implement one change. But every there were some people who were naysayers and pure baseball fans that were like completely against it. But the people who actually started seeing the live product as it came out were like, wow, this is amazing. The game goes so fast. They're like, they want action, they want movement, they want things going on. They're not going to do away with the pitch clock. The pitch clock was great. I go to the game, I'm back in 2.5 hours. I'm not sitting there for 4.5 hours. It moved things along. The reason I introduced this is Savannah Bananas was a guy. I met the guy. His name is like Jamie something. Um, he bought a baseball team, a AAA baseball team, for $1 million. Essentially, he worked with some buddies and did some things and bought a baseball team. Baseball barely has fans. Like Major League Baseball in some markets, like Tampa Bay, barely has people filling in the seats because, like, if their team is no good, the fans aren't there. If the team is good, okay, then the fans show up, right? So he was trying to market this baseball team, and he kept trying to, hey guys, come to our game. We have a AAA team over here. We have a fireworks night. We have this going on. We have that going on. Like trying to get people to come to the game. Again, some people will come, some people won't, but it's not like some crazy great business idea to buy a AAA baseball team, meaning it's a bad market, right?
Uh-huh.
That's the introduction. This guy, go Google it, right? Go listen to the story of Savannah Bananas in Georgia, and listen to what the creator did. He's like, the day everything changed was the day I put the client experience from the moment they buy the ticket.
Mhm.
There's an experience that they're giving to the client. The moment they get onto their website, deliver a unbelievable, undeniable client experience.
Mhm.
He, in other baseball stadiums, whether you sit at the front or the back, front seats, you got to pay $300. If you're all the way at the top in the bleachers, you're paying $10, right? He uniformed the price, $25 per ticket, right? With that comes like a hot dog and a pretzel, right?
Mhm.
So he gave a package and made it uniform across the board, and then he changed the client experience from you get buying the ticket, if you buy the ticket, you get a video from him which tells you, oh, welcome to this event. And now he created almost like a circus atmosphere. You have to come see Savannah Bananas. Now they are sold out. They go on tour. They go all around the world, right? Selling out stadiums on this business model. And it's just entertainment. It's entertainment and baseball put together. The game is like, it's so wacky. It's like a circus, but he made it about entertaining the fans, giving them an experience that they would never forget. And he went from nothing, like barely, he put a mortgage on his house and never made money and everything like that. Crazy personality guy, to changing the perspective of everything from the client's point of view and what they're experiencing. He went from zero to like he's hundreds of, he has over $100 million, I would say, at this point. And it all turned around in like a 5 6 year thing. But when he was speaking to us at that conference, it was all about client experience. Like he's a baseball guy, but he was speaking to lawyers as to what type of experience are you giving to your clients. So um,
100%.
yeah, so I really feel like if we focus on the client, give them the best experience, again, obviously it'll take our team to operate at a very high level, and we're going to continue to demand that as we continue to scale up. But if we can follow that model, I think exactly what you're saying, hold time is not, just think about it from the client's view. Like client's view, what's the best experience? What's the best experience? I think we'll go from where we are and we'll increase quite a bit with respect to what we do. So I'm on board with it.
Yeah. So, for example, American Express, I Platinum, I paid
Mm-hmm.
them huge annual
695.
fee. Yeah,
I do too.
and just because I prefer to deal with them, it's like
Yep.
I know I'm paying for the service. So if we're gonna be charging premium rates, that's cool. But as long as we also provide a premium
Value.
experience.
Yep. Yep.
And I think what you said about the other lawyer that you visited for estate planning, and you were like, oh man, his agenda is full. I think
Hmm.
we could leverage that. I could in our whole technique. For example, we this I'm just making it up right now, but we could say something like, when is your plea date by? Oh, this
Hmm.
okay. You know what? I'm not sure we still have spaces in the calendar. Let me try to get some of our lawyers to see if
Great.
somebody's available. Do me a favor. Please hold on the line. I'm gonna play some music here while I try to get somebody for you. Let me see if we can fit
Yeah.
you in. This
Right.
way, we create urgency. The customer is like, oh my god, they're so busy, and that way they don't
Yep.
experience the whole like,
And
oh,
they don't even realize they're being sold to. You know,
exactly, exactly.
it's a great idea.
Yep, yep.
All right. Aldo, I got to step out. I got a shot, a flu shot,
Okay.
scheduled. So in like 10 minutes. So, appreciate the feedback. But any other thing you want to do to dice this thing up and like put your input or whatever it is, I think it's important. I'm glad you're note takers taking notes because I think there were some good takeaways.
Good. Hopefully we can meet again soon, Jovin, because I do have very important things that I have to talk to you about.
Sure.
All right. In particularly in regards to Cianya, because I emailed her and she responded. So I think we have some feedback for creating the offer letter a little better.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah. I spoke
so
to Bree
anyway,
about that as well. Offer
w-
letter.
when would be a good time for us to meet again?
You're on tomorrow and Friday?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, let's try and set aside a time tomorrow. Like, what time are you signing on now?
You tell me. You tell me what time is better for you. I know you're busy during the day, but if you want to do it during like, let's say you want to do it tomorrow, I don't have a meeting with Adam, for example. So
Yeah.
if you want to do it like, let's say at 3 p.m., we could do that. But I rather catch you when you're not busy, honestly, when you relax.
Yeah, let's try and do the 3 p.m. because I'm actually like I have it on my calendar as well, so it doesn't allows me to keep that open for not taking a consultation. So let's try and square away at 3 o'clock.
Okay, sounds good. And I
All right,
also have some important things about Zach. Anyway, Constance is higher, right?
cheated. Yep, good
All
job.
right. All right, cool. I also want your help submitting my invoice, but before I do that, I kind of want your help kind of breaking it down because at this point I don't know what bonuses I'm entitled. So
Mhm.
I just
Do
want
you have an idea of what like a proposal coming back at this point?
honestly no I want
Let's
both of
create a
us.
sheet. Yeah, create a sheet like this. Let's just get started, man. Like I don't want you to be in this situation where you're not being, Your time
Okay.
is valuable. You've brought so much value to us. You've hired some people. Like we have these great conversations about business. I'm enjoying it. Like obviously, like we all, obviously continue this working relationship that we have, but at the same time, we can't leave people behind. So
Okay.
start a document again, like what you feel is fair. How we could like work into it. But like I said, we also need to. I need you. Like I say it again. I need you during the day because I can't. Like we're trying to hit these targets, and
Yep.
I'm in like 4 meetings a day, and I'm just like sales huddle, right? Like that's every day at 4:45, right? Or you know, or 4:30, 4:45. Then Adam has the 3 o'clock appointment. Then I have a Wednesday like midday appointment. This does not include any direct one-on-ones that I have with a lot of our staff
Oh man.
already, right? Like so,
Okay.
and I'm trying to juggle the consultation. So I would like I said, like you are primed, right? Like you're primed. You're gonna give the input. Naomi is taking over. We're about like no better time to and inject yourself into this environment than before we roll out all this because you're going to have this direct one-on-one feedback. I want to like I said, step away from it. I know we have all these, sales and I really got to go, but all the
Okay.
sales issues and things like that we need to address. But just start a document. Let's talk about it tomorrow. And if we don't finish our conversation, let's finish it on Friday. But let's keep a target to get something in place on paper because enough's enough. Like
Sounds good.
we need to move it forward. All right.
Okay. Okay, Joe. We'll talk tomorrow.
Thanks, Aldo. Bye.
Okay. Bye bye.